Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. We do this every Monday and Thursday night right here at 6:15 Central Time on the Viking Age YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, and you can also check out the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts the day after if you can't catch the show. But I am your Monday host, Chris Schad. Joining me, of course, is my co-host, who I got to point the other direction, is Adam Patrick. And yes, he is the managing editor at the Viking Age. I forgot to point that out. But Adam, I only forgot because I'm way too excited. I got to start off with this because we spent like 15 minutes talking about it last show. Wrestlemania 38. What were your thoughts?
That was good. Yeah, it was good. There was a lot to like. I would characterize myself as a casual wrestling fan at this point. I don't know if you've heard the term of like casual Catholic or whatever, where like you only go to like Easter Mass and Christmas Mass, and you're like, okay, I'm good. I kind of do the same thing with like the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania at this point in my life. But it was good. It was good. I'm glad it was 2 days. I think 8 hours, all of that together would have been too much. But there was some good stuff. Pat McAfee was awesome. Wee Man was awesome. Cody Rhodes. Everyone knew Cody Rhodes was coming back, but it still was awesome. Like, I don't think I realized how much I liked his intro song. I don't know if it sounds better because he's in WWE, but it's just I like it a lot, and I've been listening to it a lot since he returned. And yeah, it was good. Unfortunately, we had to see Vince McMahon take his shirt off and pretend to fight. Probably didn't need that. But no, it was good. And yeah, my favorite match was probably Cody and Seth. I think that was good with Pat McAfee coming in second there.
Well, the Battle of Ex-Vikings ended with Roman's shoulder popping out of its socket.
Yeah, was that real?
That was a little bit... nobody knows. We'll find out tonight on Raw.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good hook. This is not a wrestling podcast, by the way. This is a Vikings podcast.
Hey, we're talking
But
Vikings though.
yes, I know. That's why I let off with that, just to kind of
Yeah.
mix a little Vikings in. But
Yeah.
yeah, I liked it. I mean, Roman and Brock was a little bit disappointing. A lot of suplexes, a lot of F5s. It's kind of what you would expect there. My favorite match of the weekend actually was Becky Lynch against Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
thought that they made it feel like a really big match, especially with Bianca coming out with I think it was Texas Southern marching band. It was
Yeah.
it was something like that. I
Yeah.
apologize if I don't have the school right. And then Becky coming out in the car, and then they just beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Like you, I have also been listening to Kingdom by Downstate, which is Cody Rhodes' theme, over the past couple days, nonstop.
Mhm.
It was just cool to see all the AEW stuff basically superimposed into a
Yeah.
WWE
Yeah.
environment. It's like the WWE video games when you
For sure.
create guys and do that. When WWE gets things right, they get it right. And
Yeah.
I thought they got WrestleMania right. Their problem is consistency, but
Yeah.
they've at least bought, for me, single guy living. I was gonna say living at home, but I'm not living at home.
At your home.
At my home. Yes, that's what I meant. Single guy by myself. I watch Raw, I watch SmackDown. I've been kind of a casual WWE fan lately. So they have about a month for me. And I'll check
Yeah.
out Raw tonight. Raw after WrestleMania is always really good. But I just wanted to get your opinion on WrestleMania because I was entertained. And that's basically how I wanted to follow that up. Speaking of entertained, if you like fights, if you like battles, if you like battle royales, Royal Rumble, and all that stuff, the Minnesota Vikings are planning one in training camp because we are about to enter the 10th annual Can He Play Guard Battle Royale. I don't know if it's the 10th, but it sure as hell seems like it because we've been doing this for a decade. But the Vikings are getting a whole bunch of NFL caliber fringe starting guards together, and they're just going to have them fight to the death. Not really, because that would be a little extreme, but they signed Chris Reed, who is a Mankato native. Did you know that Adam Thielen actually went to Mankato, Adam? I don't know. That might be shocking.
I thought I heard that somewhere, but I wasn't sure. So thanks for confirming that to me. That's
It might have
never
been in
no.
my it might
Did
have
he
been in my
sell?
like hardcore rant last week about
Yeah.
Adam Thielen,
Did
but
he sell dental equipment too? Did he do that?
something like that.
I
Is
think
he
so.
gonna get a Disney movie, you think?
It's a good chance.
Like the
Kirk, well,
rookie or
if
something?
if he doesn't, Kirk Cousins has enough money to pay for him to make his own movie. So
It'll be shown in religious establishments worldwide. Um,
I'm sure.
yeah. Anyway, Adam Thielen actually played with Chris Reed at Mankato, so it's like the
Yeah.
mega powers collide to keep the
Yeah.
wrestling thing going.
Something like that.
29 career starts between Indianapolis, Carolina, Miami, and Jacksonville.
Mhm.
He was 39th out of 88 qualifying guards that had 20% of the league lead in snaps last season. So he's about a middle of the road guy. The Vikings have
Yeah.
added Austin Schlottman, Jesse Davis, Chris Reed. They already have Wyatt Davis and Oli Udo. So after my long diatribe, have the Vikings finally established a legitimate guard competition going into training camp?
Well, I think they have. Yeah, they got a bunch now that are gonna fight for the spot. We still don't know if they're gonna draft somebody. They could still do that and bring someone young in as well to compete. I'm not so sure if Ali Udo is gonna be in the mix because they might maybe push him back to being a tackle where he's supposed to be. Um, but I would think right now you got what Chris Reed, Jesse Davis, Austin Slotman, Wyatt Davis. Who's the is Kyle Hinton? Could he be in that
I
mix?
think
He's a
he got put on the practice squad.
yeah.
So
So he could
I think he was on there, but now he's doing
he
the
could be in
practice
there.
squad
It's
thing.
it's a
So
new coaching staff, so he could be in there and possibly a rookie or an undrafted free agent. So yeah, they got competition. With this signing though, Chris Reed, I feel like it's similar. Like he's a little better than the guys that they've brought in, but it's kind of similar because I feel like because this is all really the Vikings can afford, the guys that they're bringing in were like trying to like scrounge for whatever like good part of this player that we can find and be like, well, hopefully they can just do that for the entire season and then, the Vikings will be set. But, with a signing like this, it's another we'll see. But with guards too, like you just don't want them to be terrible like Ali Udo was last year or Dakota Dozier was the year before, and which Jesse Davis has pretty much been his entire career. I don't care if he graded better as a guard than he did as a tackle because he was god awful as a tackle and he was kind of terrible as a guard. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, Jesse Davis is way better as a guard. He's still pretty bad. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. It's good to have competition. It might be good to have some depth. And we'll see what the Vikings plan is. I think they're gonna be I think next week they start at least conditioning part of their OTAs and we'll get to maybe hear from some of them and kind of we won't really know what the Vikings plans are. I feel like until it's training camp, probably. Like OTAs, they're gonna run some drills and when they have their mini camp and people are going to report and like say this is the offensive line first team or whatever. But until you get to training camp, I feel like we're not really going to know what their plans are for the offense. What do you think about what they're doing so far?
I like what they're doing at guard, and I did some research for a article at zonecoverage.com where I looked at some of the trends with guards and kind of this idea of just throwing a whole lot of guards together and just letting them compete. And
Yeah.
what I found was that in the past, the Vikings really went into each year like married to an idea. So, like this year, they were married to that Wyatt Davis was going to start, and it just didn't
Mhm.
pan out, right? A couple years ago, it was Drew Samia. Even further back, Pat Elfline's going to get stronger because his hands are strong because he worked with concrete in the summer. That was a thing. Um, you know, when that didn't work out, they got burned. This gives them protection in case, okay, we missed on 3 different guards, but guard 4 is like somewhat decent. So we'll just plug them right in. And I found that in the last 10 years, there have been 47 different players that have ranked in the top 10 of PFF's overall guard grades. Again, within guards that have ranked within 20% of the league lead in snaps that season. So of those 47, only 19 of those players did it twice. So you obviously have your Quentin Nelsons, your Zach Martins, Marshall Yanda was another
Brandon
name I found
Scherf.
a lot. Brandon Scherf. A lot of those guys were in there. So I mean, there's some guys that will repeat, but usually you have some guys breaking in, you have some guys falling out. It's a very volatile position. And I think what Buffalo did, everybody's talking about that. That's like the Patrick Mahomes debate of the offensive line, right? You just get a whole bunch of guards, you throw them in a room, they like fight and throw punches and stuff, and one guy emerges and he's your starter. Like Wyatt Davis was left for dead and he got traded to Cleveland, right? So, I mean, this is what the Vikings can do because they don't have the money to go out and get a Brandon Scherf, to get one of the top guards in free agency. They have to get creative. And if you're going to go cheap, guard is a good position to do it. Now, what I don't want them to do is to go into 12 and go, well, we're going to get the best guard in the draft because we need a guard. I do not want Tyler Lindenbaum. Maybe if you trade down a little bit and he's there towards the back half of the first round, but if you do it at 12, you're basically just repeating your own mistakes. So right now, I like what they're doing. If they draft another guard, and I think they will, I would really like to see what they're doing. It's interesting. It adds intrigue, and it's a legitimate competition.
Isn't there a kid from Nebraska like who's a center too, but
Beef
he's
Jurgens.
who's
I don't
projected
know
to
his
be
first name, but he was walking around with jerky at the combine, just having
like
a snack.
he's projected to be like maybe a second or third round pick. I think that's someone they should probably have their focus on, like just first round centers. Like I think Vikings fans are just scarred with Garrett Bradbury and like wasn't Billy Price a first round center, I feel like, or at least second round or something. He was one that Vikings fans I remember talking about. And like I think like Frank Ragnow might be one of the most recent kind of early round centers that worked out. But yeah, drafting a center high, you don't need to do that. Just like drafting a kicker at all in the draft, you don't need to do that. But yet the Vikings did both recently. But you said, throw them into a room or whatever and have them fight it out. For some reason, it made me think of maybe because of from Wrestlemania or whatever, like the Jackass bit where they played medicine ball dodgeball in the dark. And I'm like, oh, that'd be great. I would just like to have them all go do that, and whoever comes out alive gets to be the starting right guard. So I think, if there's a tiebreaker they need to do, they should do that. So that's my thoughts on the whole competition.
Ole
Yeah.
Udo walks out, just like, no, get back in there. Like, we don't
Yeah.
need to. Come on. Like, come on. Where are you, Chris Reed? You're
Such a
from
great
Mankato like Adam Thielen. You should be good.
Such a great bit. Such a great bit.
So yeah, let's start with topic number 2, which was an interesting one that you actually brought up to me. And that is Jim Harbaugh and Colin Kaepernick. Let's start with the timeline here because all this will make sense. That the Vikings brought in Jim Harbaugh for an interview. And it looked to everybody like he was going to be the guy that was going to get the head coaching job, right? But then, according to Chad Graff of The Athletic, something went wrong. It took a left turn in his words, and Jim Harbaugh left TCO Performance Center. Kevin O'Connell was hired hours later, and everybody's kind of like, what's going on here? So Jim Harbaugh decided for his spring game to bring in Colin Kaepernick as their honorary captain. Now, Kaepernick is a Nevada alum. He is not from Michigan. So a lot of people kind of connected the dots, and they're like, hey, maybe Kaepernick was thrown in there. Mike Florio said he didn't even pitch the idea. But what do you think? What do you think of that connection? Because it seems like with the way the NFL has treated Kaepernick since he took that knee, I don't know. Something fishy seems to be going on there.
Yeah. I think Florio, Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk's known for maybe stirring the pot a bit, but with this, I don't think he is. He's also a Vikings fan, so he probably has some intel into what's actually going on in there. I think first off, if Kaepernick was going to the Vikings, Florio would be one of the first people to report that to be the case because he's not the biggest fan of Kirk Cousins, uh, or anything that they've really done the last 50 years. But yeah, I believe Florio when he came out with this report this morning. I think the speculation was kind of picking up this weekend when Kaepernick was hanging out with Harbaugh because it's hard to ignore that. They took the 49ers to a Super Bowl in Harbaugh's second season with the Niners, which looking up his stats today, I was writing about this thing going on and I was just getting angry because the Vikings still didn't hire Jim Harbaugh after he had so much success, but that's in the past. We don't need to talk about that anymore. They got Kevin O'Connell. We'll see what he can do. But I think Florio mentioned that Kaepernick didn't come up as like him being a quarterback, but possibly a quarterback's coach. If whenever Kaepernick's playing career is officially done, and I don't think the Vikings would have had a problem with that. But I don't know. It was fun to speculate, I guess, and it's easy to make that connection. But I think the Florio report is one that I trust, and I don't think it was brought up. It seems like it might have been something else, whether it was money or like roster control or what Harbaugh had in mind for Kirk Cousins, even because maybe he wanted to try and move on from him, and the Wolves are like, no, that we're not going to do that. So I don't think the left turn. I might have thought it a couple days ago that the left turn had to do with Kaepernick. I even think I tweeted about it, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
I think it had something to do with the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I really do because it just seemed like there were a lot of people who were just like, I mean, Kirk Cousins. This is gonna sound weird. He's like a joke around the league. Like he's a punchline, which isn't saying he's a bad quarterback. That's just the reputation that he
Not
has.
as
When
a
he left
businessman.
Washington, what's
Not as a
that?
businessman. Not as a
Not
businessman.
as a businessman at all. When Kirk Cousins comes to do business with you, you better run the other
I'll
way
tell you what,
because
I rip on him
he
a
is gonna
lot.
get his money.
I was gonna say I rip on him a lot, like for on-field performance. But if he ever gave me a call to do business after when he retires, I will be first in line to do that because that dude knows how to make money. So
If Kirk Cousins got a line of car washes, you would be first in line to invest in that stuff.
yeah,
It's
for
like, how
sure.
much you need, Kirk?
Yeah,
Let's do this.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
I do I do think that I mean I do think that as everybody tries to get a hold of me between 6:15 and 7 o'clock on Mondays and Thursdays again. I do it's such a weird situation. So I mean there's two parts to this, and I'll spill my take here. Like, Colin Kaepernick gets blackballed essentially from the NFL after
Yep,
taking a knee. And it's
yep.
funny now because the NFL is all like end racism, like all this stuff. And
Yep.
like I started thinking about like the Wilfs, they seem like they're obsessed with public opinion. So maybe they sat there and if this was brought up, and I don't think it was. I think Florio's got a credible report. Like you said, he's a Vikings fan. Those are probably his strongest ties. He's probably
Mhm.
talked to people that are tied in with the organization and had that. But I mean, I could totally see the Wilfs or any other NFL owner going like, no, if we bring him in, we'll lose the fans in Stearns County or something. If you live in St. Cloud, I'm sure you're very friendly, by the way. Just don't hunt me down for that. But I mean, it's weird. It's weird. We live in an NFL where, Deshaun Watson has 22 active sexual assault cases and he's getting $240 million guaranteed or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Kareem Hunt kicked a chick. He's in the league.
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill beat up his pregnant girlfriend in college and then put his toddler in an arm bar. And then he goes down to Miami and gets another big contract. And yet
Mhm.
we have Colin Kaepernick here because a lot of people didn't like what he did. He might have, and he had probably had the right message, but a lot of people are just like, nope, not my
Mhm.
quarterback. I'm never cheering for that. And you know what? Like you said, the guy went to a Super Bowl. Like some of the quarterbacks they're starting right now are just ridiculous. It's like you're gonna start Wyatt Mills out there. Okay, good luck with or Davis Mills. I don't know. It doesn't matter what his name is. He starts for Houston anyway. Like it's a weird situation. But
Mhm.
that's all I wanted to say on that. And
Mhm.
then you have Harbaugh here. And like now the thing that I'm starting to wonder, and I heard this mentioned on the Purple Insider podcast, is if the Vikings are doing what they did and extending everybody and getting everybody in place. And, we're going to run it back because Kevin O'Connell's the greatest coach ever and Mike Zimmer had like dementia or something. Like,
Okay.
was Harbaugh the right coach? Because it seems like he would have been a better choice than a first-time guy who, won at a blackjack table with Sean McVay in Vegas. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like I'd rather have the guy with the better record in the NFL. What do you think?
Oh, 1,000%. I still would want to. I wanted the Vikings. He like before this coaching search even started, before Harbaugh was even in contention or even rumors about him meeting with the Vikings. I like tweeted out like my top 3 choices, and he was number 1 because I knew his past success, and I knew he's just coming off a successful year with Michigan. And I figured he'd probably use that to boost himself back in the NFL, which he tried to do, and then it didn't work out. So he was like, "Oh, I was just kidding. I was just seeing what's out there. I'm back for good, forever, maybe until next year." But yeah, I totally would want Harbaugh to be. This is no knock on Kevin O'Connell, and he could turn out to be a really good coach. But why would anyone pick a rookie head coach to run a team full of veterans that are pretty much probably going to be set in their ways and not really open to changing much of what they do, compared to someone who was in a similar situation in San Francisco when he arrived and quickly turned that team into a contender, which is what the Vikings want Kevin O'Connell to do. So, like, it really it does. I don't. It sounds like the people making the hiring decisions didn't really want anything to do with Harbaugh to begin with. He was just someone that Kwesi wanted, and they they liked Kwesi, so they're like, all right, we'll give him a shot, we'll give him an interview. And Harbaugh's like, if they're giving me an interview, why would they even bother bringing me in if they're not going to give me the job? And so he comes in thinking he's getting the job, and Kwesi's like, we'll have this interview, and then the people doing the hiring process are like, unless he blows us away, he's not going to be the head coach. Which I feel like going into the Harbaugh interview, the Vikings, most of the people in that building already knew that Kevin O'Connell was going to be their guy. So I don't think it really would have mattered what happened in there. But it's just like everything the Vikings want to happen, like this next season and the year after, of being immediately turned into a contender, is something that Jim Harbaugh has already done. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. But what does anything there's nothing that makes sense when it comes to the Vikings. So, you know, that's it. That's all I got.
Especially this regime bringing back a core that has been under 500 for 800 days. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Cy Amundsen talked about it on his podcast. It was back when they were about to hire him. And Jim Harbaugh comes in, you have 4 years, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden everybody's just burned out. Like, we just need to take a deep breath because I don't know what the hell that just was. Like, that is Jim Harbaugh. But like the Vikings are doing the same thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think Kevin O'Connell's going to come in and burn everyone out because he just
No.
seems like the nicest person
Yeah.
on the face of the earth from what we've seen anyway.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's just like Harbaugh comes in, kind of that, and I don't know, maybe like a lot of people thought he was a lot like Zimmer, which
Yeah.
maybe I
Could be.
could see that, but he was a player's coach. Like Alex Boone had that big long interview,
And he's an
so
offensive guy. I feel like some people kind of
yes, yes,
mistake him also because he's kind of like Zimmer, as like a defensive guy, because his defenses were good with the Niners too. But he was a quarterback, so he
yeah,
knows he got like the most out of Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. And like what happened to those guys after they didn't work with Harbaugh? They weren't that well. Alex Smith went to the Chiefs, but he got to work with Andy Reid too. But like those guys had the best years of their career with Jim Harbaugh. And like Jim Harbaugh was key in developing Andrew Luck at Stanford. You know, he helped Michigan kind of get back on their feet when they were kind of down and out. But yeah, like Talking about this
And
just makes me more sad that they didn't hire him.
yeah, and I'll turn this back the other way because I'm sure there's some people out there being like, well, you're not even giving Kevin O'Connell a chance. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, kind of looking back on it, it's like, okay, what happened? Because that's going to be, especially if this Kevin O'Connell thing falls out, everybody's going to be like, well, what did happen with Jim Harbaugh? And I think that O'Connell, everything that O'Connell has said about putting together this team seems like, it's a feasible action. Like, hey, we're going to create a support system around Kirk Cousins. You got one step ahead of the last coach, don't you? We're going to use our top weapon all the time. Whoa. Next thing you tell me, you're not going to run on second and long, first, second and 10 next year when they throw it to Jefferson, everybody's head's going to explode, I'm excited to see what O'Connell does. I'm excited to see all that. It's just a fun little what if until everything starts up again. But
Do you think
to
Kaepernick
finish
gets
things,
signed?
no.
No. Okay.
I feel like that. Like, I'll believe it when I see it just because I know how the NFL has treated this situation. And it's a shame. Like I said, he should be playing, he should be signed, in my opinion. But, you know, a bunch of
I
old
feel like
white dudes are running these teams. So,
I feel like the Seahawks or the Steelers, I could see one of those teams just giving him a shot. Just like
yeah. And the Steelers hired Brian Flores after he had that lawsuit against the NFL.
yep,
Then again, their head coach also is black, Mike
yep.
Tomlin. But, I mean, he
We
found a
also know,
job.
yeah,
Maybe they're starting to turn a new leaf. I don't know.
we also don't know like what Kaepernick's relationship might be with some people around the NFL. We might look at a team and be like, "Oh, he's a perfect fit," but he might have a history with someone who's on that team or that coaching staff. But yeah, if obviously Deshaun Watson is a much better quarterback
Hmm.
when he was on the field than Kaepernick.
Yes.
But if Kaepernick is looked at as a bigger PR like risk than Deshaun Watson, then there's a much bigger problem in the NFL than we even know about. But I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I don't think he gets signed. I don't think so.
So to wrap things up on the show, we're gonna play. It's not really a game, but it's kind of like the articles we have at the Viking Age because we do a lot of grades, we do a lot of bold predictions, we do a lot of lists. Like that's kind of our thing at the Viking Age. If you like
Yeah.
those three things, it's a great thing to check out at our website. But what we came up with was grading the Vikings offseason so far. And I got a list of 9 moves, or at least 9 bullet points. Some of the moves are jammed into one because they're all kind of just lower on the card. But we're going to grade the Vikings offseason so far. And I wrote mine down. I actually got a GPA for this thing. So I don't know. Like if you want to figure it out, go along. I'm very scientific with my methods. I was wondering, well, what does that equate to? And it was fun to find out for me because I don't know. I was a 3.2 in high school, by the way, if anybody was knowing. College, I don't know. I took a class once and I did the Tommy Boy thing because I took a philosophy class. I'll tell the story. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I got there and the teacher was just super weird. I'm like, I'm not gonna go to this class ever again.
Sounds about
So
right.
like I just played NCAA like '09 or whatever in my
Yeah.
apartment, and like I
Mhm.
got the notes from a friend,
Mhm.
and I walked up, I got a D in the class, and I did the Tommy Boy. I did it, got a D. I'm gonna
There
graduate.
was I had one class where all you had to do was show up twice for the whole semester and you got an A. Like he you had to be there once just to make sure you were there, and then the second time was your final presentation, which was you could do anything you want, which was like people just showing video clips pretty much. And he was like, "Okay, hey." Uh,
Thanks for
I
coming.
that was probably one of my most favorite classes because I just got to sleep in my dorm the whole time.
It,
But yeah, grades for the off season. I didn't know we were gonna go through the whole thing. I thought we were just gonna do like a one big grade, but we can go through them all. That's fine with me.
we could and I mean very quickly because I mean we touched on these a little bit throughout the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, but the first one I have is signing Kirk Cousins to a 1-year extension through 2023. What grade did you give that move?
C minus
It's tough.
because
It's very tough.
it's not a terrible deal, but it's not one they should have
No,
done. They
no.
should not be continuing down this path of mediocrity. They shouldn't. They should have 2022 was a perfect opportunity not to do complete rebuild, like tear the team apart, but it's the perfect opportunity to and teams were calling about we know teams were calling about trading for Kirk Cousins. You could have got assets and you could have used those assets to get, you know, a quarterback this year or next year, get a bridge quarterback, whatever. But like it hasn't worked with Kirk Cousins. It hasn't worked with him in his entire career, and as the case has been with Kirk Cousins and a lot of players in this current regime, the Vikings are just kicking the can further down the road, and then they're going to turn and look when it doesn't work and be like, "Oh, I wonder what happened. I don't know how we got at this point." So I will give it a C minus.
It's hard to grade because I could see the positives of it. If the Vikings had
Yeah.
just done a 1-year extension with like a similar cap number to this year, I could say, okay, they want to see
Oh,
what
the no
Kirk can
trade
do.
clause. That's a big one.
Yes.
That's a big
Yes. The
reason.
no
Yeah.
trade clause and the void years. Like some of the void years, like Jesse Davis, I think has 650,000 on a 1-year contract void year. I'm like, what are you doing? But like honestly, that's not a lot of money, right? That's like, oh,
No.
we missed out on Marcus Sherrills or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like, you know, Kirk's got like 12 million in void money in
Yeah.
2023, and he's
Yep.
got like 6 million the following year. And it's just like,
Mhm.
why? And why would you give him a no trade clause? So I would put this a little bit ahead because I feel like the Vikings wanted to try this out with Kirk and O'Connell, see how that relationship worked.
Mhm.
But the extra stuff, I wound up giving it a C.
Okay.
I was a little harsher on it. Um, Harrison Smith
Less you
restructured.
were less harsh. You were less harsh. I said C minus.
Oh, you said C minus. I thought you said C plus. Okay. Well, Harrison Smith, what about his restructure?
Eh, eh, uh, we can go B with that because I mean, I don't he's good. I don't mind them bringing him back. Like I wouldn't have cared if they traded him or not. I probably would have been a good thing to try and trade him. I don't know if they did or not or had offers. I'm sure they did. But with Harrison Smith, I think like if you want you're trying to build this defense over, and I feel like he can fit into pretty much any system. So I'll give that a B. I don't think it really affects their future that much by what they did.
I said C
Yeah.
because I don't, it's not like I use the scale of A as like, oh my God, this is a Super Bowl winning move to uh F, like, did Quasi get drunk? Did he like what is this move? Like something like that. Um, I gave it a C. I'm just indifferent of it. Same with Harrison Phillips and Michael Pierce. Like I
Yeah.
lumped them into one move because
Yep.
like I don't think signing a nose tackle is going to help you win the Super Bowl. He might be
Mm-mm.
good. He might be good in the community, that sort of thing. Pierce didn't really want to be here, it sounds like. So a C.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Oh, you got wait.
Retaining. Go
What
ahead.
did you just skip ahead to Harrison Phillips and Mike Pierce? Is that what you gave them? Or
Yeah, I gave him a C. Yes, I'm sorry.
okay, yeah, I'll do that too. I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right.
That's fair.
So we
That's
got
fair.
Daniil Hunter. You retain him. You don't trade him. You don't do any of that stuff.
Yep.
I gave this a B plus because I think he's a huge part of the defense. What say you?
After they kept Cousins, I think you had to do whatever you could to keep Hunter. So I'd give him an A minus because the injuries he had are not nagging. They are, random. They're football injuries. So I'm not gonna sit here and label him injury prone. He's still like 27, 28, so he's still got a handful of good seasons left, and he's really good on the field. And I think in a 3-4, he might even be able to be better than he was in a 4-3. So I would give this an A minus.
I went a little lower just because I don't know. The injury history kind of scares
Yeah,
me. The same with Zadarius Smith. I gave that a B plus too because I think, you know,
yeah,
Luke Braun said it best. He could have that injury again. And
yeah,
where are the Vikings? Like, are they
yeah.
starting DJ Wanham on the edge? Like, that doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, back injury is not. That's way different than what Daniil suffered. So yeah, I would give the Zadarius Smith signing. I'd even give that a B, just because we just don't know. Like he played in 2 games last year. That's not something to just move on from. That's serious. And he's getting up there in age. Luckily, the Vikings set up his contract where it looks like they can get out of it pretty easily next year if they have to. But like you said, who's the third guy behind Hunter and Smith? Is it DJ Wanham? Is it? I mean, what are they going to do with Jordan Hicks? Are they going to draft somebody early with that first pick? Are they going to use that on an edge rusher? We got to see what they do before we're like, because I'm just curious how often they play Zadarius Smith, because I feel like they don't want to make him a full time guy out there with how his age and everything and his recent health. So maybe they do, but yeah, I would give that a B, for sure.
I still wouldn't be shocked if they drafted an edge rusher in the first round. Like,
No,
I think you need depth. I think you need quality depth. And I
yeah,
think that's a great place to get it, especially at their price point. Um, Giving Adam Thielen a raise, because that's basically what it was, right? It
hmm
wasn't a pay cut.
hmm
So what do you think?
that's a C minus. That's a. I was thinking about D plus there, but Dylan's still pretty good. He can make some plays. It just locking him in essentially until 2024 just doesn't seem like it's a good decision with the way that he's been hurt recently in his production and not being a 1,000-yard receiver since 2018. Um, just seems like they're just paying him because he's from Minnesota and fans would freak out if they got rid of him. But so yeah, I'll give it a C minus. I would have been fine if they didn't. If they gave him a raise, but didn't really like the contract that they did. We've talked about this. This is not a typical Vikings contract. I don't know who signed this or who came up with this, but the terms of it, I think a lot of people when they saw it were like, "What are they doing?" Like, you wouldn't give this contract to most
Yeah.
players his age. Like you wouldn't if it was Devontae Adams or DeAndre Hopkins and they're 33, 34. I don't know how many people get this contract, like unless you're like Larry Fitzgerald or somebody like that. Like this contract is something. So C minus for me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Larry Fitzgerald probably got something similar, but he's
Yeah.
also Larry Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
one of the greatest receivers of all time. I think Adam Thielen is one of the greatest Vikings of all time. I think he's
Mhm,
still a dangerous red zone target,
mhm.
but those injuries are a little scary. One of them was a hamstring injury. The
Yep,
other one was a pretty bad ankle sprain. You can't really prevent that,
yep.
but I mean, if you listened to me on last Thursday, you got my thoughts on Adam Thielen and then some. Um, I think he's a very good player, but I mean, like you said, locking him in that long, adding another void year
Yeah.
after his contract is gone. Like it seems like this move came from up above, and they said sign Adam Thielen or else Blue Earth County is going to be pissed. Like that seems like it was the mandate there. Pat Pete, he said that he is going to be returning to the Vikings on a 1-year deal. What do you think? What's your grade
I
there?
I'll give this a B because they have nobody in the Cam Dancer, but they had nobody in the secondary. He's already familiar with the guys in the locker room. He likes it in Minnesota. He played pretty well last year when he was on the field. Like I said, I don't remember him getting burned last season at all. What did he do? He shut down DeAndre Hopkins. And you know, he was solid. And I think he'll be a good leader for this defense, which is probably going to have a bunch of young players. So I have no problem. And what did they get? Was it 4 million? So yeah,
Yes.
do that
Yeah.
deal anytime, anytime. Do that deal.
The
So
thing
B for me.
the thing that Patrick Peterson's deal does is it gives you a little flexibility, both with the cap because it's such a cheap deal, and with your draft needs. Because if you
Yeah.
didn't sign Patrick Peterson, it's like, all right, we better take somebody or else we're gonna be like hosed.
Yep.
Now if they sit there and they don't like Trent McDuffie or who's ever there at 12, they can say, okay, let's turn around and take Chris Olave. Let's go around, let's take a
Yep.
luxury pick.
Yep.
Just bolster our offense or a pass rush or something and kind of go forward from there. So I gave it a B as well. I thought it was a very good move. Probably nothing that moves the needle toward a Super Bowl team. But hey, it's pretty good. Um, I lumped everybody else into one big category because that's what it feels like. Shannon Sullivan's probably the most prestigious name in there, but you have Austin. Yeah, I don't know how to like the biggest name, prestigious. I don't know, the
Yep.
most familiar to Vikings fans
Mhm.
because like when they played him, they're like, go after that guy. Okay. And the Vikings are like, let's sign that guy now. I was like, okay.
But Sean
Um,
Mannion.
this Sean Mannion. He that's gonna be an awkward
That's an
thing in the
F
locker
for
room.
me. That's an F.
Oh, you want to talk about Sean Mannion?
We don't
I
have to,
don't
but that's
care.
an F for me.
I don't care. Like it's not to
That's
shoot
the
down your
problem.
idea, but
That's
yeah,
the
that's the
problem.
problem. That's why he deserves an F. But I mean, I don't care. Like I don't because if Kirk goes down, the Vikings are hosed anyway.
Yeah.
Even if they draft a rookie, unless his name's Malik Willis, like any of these guys gonna help out, you gonna throw Kenny Pickett out there? You know, it's kind of whatever. So, okay, we'll throw Sean Mannion in this. Austin Schlottman, Jesse Davis, Chris Reed, Johnny Munt, which is typical tight end fullback name. Nate Hairston, who should be playing second base for the Twins. They signed all of them. What's your grade?
Jordan Berry too, punter. What was the
Oh,
kicker's name
yes.
too?
Greg Joseph.
Yep, yeah,
He's
him
got
too.
two
Well,
first names. That's
did he sign his
legit.
tenure? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
See, see, for this whole offseason, I was gonna give the Vikings. People are gonna be mad. A C minus because where have they gotten better?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
good. I mean, it's the same damn team.
yeah,
They have issues along the line. They have issues in pass rush. They have issues in the secondary. They got better as far as they have a coach that's now nicer and
yeah, and we don't even know
likes
if he's better.
offense.
Like he's
Yeah,
nicer, sure, but is he a better coach? We don't know that.
it's like Leslie
Uh,
Frazier, super nice dude. I don't know
right.
how Percy Harvin threw a weight plate at his head, but
That means
you
nothing. Who
know,
like some of the most successful coaches in the NFL are the most miserable people you've ever met in your life, or like just so mean and wretched. You think of Bill Belichick, think of Tom Coughlin, uh, who's the Bill Cowher.
Bud Grant.
Uh,
I don't know. I think
see,
Bud.
see,
I mean,
look,
Bud was stoic, but I think he was fair on his
I knew
players.
this would happen. See, look now,
TVA,
but really,
Tuckers.
where have they gotten better? They haven't. They gotten older. Justin Jefferson, okay, maybe he got better, but he's already there. I need
You have to understand from our so there's a lot of people who are just ride or die and whatever the Vikings do, they're going to be on base.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of popular players. So I mean, they want to see the conclusion. They want to see Adam Thielen win a Super Bowl ring. They want to see Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins win a Super Bowl ring. They want to see all these guys because they're invested in them. The problem is, what's their ceiling? Is it going to be Kevin O'Connell that gets them over the top? We don't know. It very well could be. We don't know. This feels like the same damn team. It's the same thing. I sat there in week 2 against Arizona and I was like, Roman Reigns. Like, You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the same thing. I'm fighting
Fear.
John Cena here. Like, you know,
Yeah. 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 I just
spear F5
like
suplex. Yeah.
I'm
Tie it all together.
enlightened. Yeah, I'm enlightened with all the I like the Zadarius Smith signing. I like bringing back Peterson. I'm intrigued by some of the offensive line moves they've made, but where have they gotten better? I would like someone to point out to me where they've gotten better because
And
I don't know.
if you guys have an idea, it's like, hey, this is where the Vikings improved. I'd love to hear from you. I mean, it's not like a challenge or anything. I just want to see your point of view and see where you look at the team and go, yeah. Because I have this team as a C plus. I have it above average because they brought everybody back. They shuffled salary. They made a couple of nice moves. Like Zadarius Smith is nice, but I mean, it's nothing that I'm just like, here we go, Super Bowl, Packers dead,
Yeah.
everybody's dead. Like, here come the Vikings. Like,
And if you're
oh,
like
sorry.
if you're building a team and looking at the NFC like, "Oh, we have a chance this year because the NFC is worse." Like, that's not how you should be building your football team. Like, everyone else is terrible, so we might have a chance now. Like, no, you should be trying to make the best team possible for multiple years, not, scraping the bottom of the barrel every year, trying to be like, "Oh, we have a little bit left in here. Let's see what we got." Like, it seems like that's every year. They're like, well, maybe if we just tweak this a little bit, but then something else goes wrong. Like I've seen, I don't know if it was like PFF Eric or whatever who threw it out, like the expectation of O'Connell coming in and fixing problems with like Kirk Cousins or whatever. But then, what about the problems on the defense, or what about new problems that arise? Like those problems, like we're gonna see new stuff next year, and it's how he's gonna handle that as a first time head coach and everything. Like, yeah, just what they haven't done. Maybe if they do stuff in the draft, like this could change if they do stuff in the draft. But right now, they're not any better than they were last year, just because they got a new head coach that is nicer.
Quasi is gonna have to have like a Sonny Weaver Jr. type draft for us to like really change our tone because like, you know, I don't know. I mean I'm not trying to be a pessimist. It's like I've seen this. I've seen this. Like if they go out and they
And
win their first 5 games, I'll eat crow. But
it's not even pessimistic. They've
it's
missed the
playing a
playoffs
slot
3 and
machine.
they've missed the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years with these guys. Like, what do you think is gonna happen just because they got a new head coach who's never done this before? Like, why all of a sudden is this team gonna turn around and just be a Super Bowl contender because they got a new head coach
They're
who's a
basically
rookie?
they're playing the slots.
Yeah.
Like you go to a casino, you throw money in and you mindlessly pull the lever and hope everything hits jackpot. 2017, it did that. You got like 4 sevens and like a bar or whatever it is, whatever slot machine you play. Kevin O'Connell is coming in thinking that he's counting cards at the blackjack table. Like he's trying to use the information that he has and
Yep.
accentuating it. But I don't know if it'll work. And that's the fun part. If people who are excited about this team, that's what's fun. We'll find out if Kevin O'Connell is good. We'll find out if
Oh,
these guys do have another level. Like
it's
that's the
fun.
intriguing part of this season.
It's still
So,
fun. I'm still
yeah,
intrigued, yeah, for sure. But like my expectations aren't high. Like I
they
like okay, someone just commented trust the system. What system? What is the system? Like patch up the holes in the boat and hopefully like what is the
put
system?
the flex tape on it.
There's no system. There is no system.
Yet. Not until training camp. Not
Maybe
until
yeah,
training camp.
maybe there is, but right now what they're doing, the same thing that they've done the last 10 years, it's not a system.
I hope in like September, like the Vikings are 4-0 and everybody's being like, you guys are idiots. And like, yeah, we
Sure.
were. We
I hope
totally
so
were.
too. I hope so
We know
too.
we're idiots. We're already, we're on YouTube flapping our gums. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're idiots.
I
I will fully admit that.
I
We'll be
hope so
even
too.
bigger idiots if they do well. And we'll be happy about it. It's not like we're
Yeah.
cheering against them.
No.
But
Yeah.
anyway, uh, before I sign off, I don't know. Do you want to spill the beans about Thursday, or I mean, I
Not
will
yet.
be
I'm waiting.
okay. I will
I'm waiting
be
on yeah.
Oh, you're
You go
waiting on
ahead.
it. Okay.
You go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say I will be at Target Field, presumably getting wet and cold, watching the Twins because I don't know, double fisting $15 beers is an American pastime. I'm not going to pass up, so
It's
I
no
will not be around. But
it's no San Diego opening day. That's for sure.
yeah, there's no snow in San Diego. That's what I've heard.
Not that you
Not
gotta
not that,
go.
just
You gotta go.
motorcycles.
You gotta go like you gotta go like a half hour away. And you can find some snow in January or February, like a centimeter, in the morning before it melts. But yeah, no, none of that here. I haven't seen that in a long time. I don't plan to. But yeah, on Thursday, so we'll have a special guest, hopefully, and talk some heavy draft content because it's what this person is very familiar with. So we will be talking the draft because that's the what's coming up at the end of the month. It's gonna be here before we know it. So yeah, that'll be coming up
The Cody
on
Rhodes
Thursday.
pyro, hopefully, like all that stuff, and
Yeah, for sure.
it might be Cody Rhodes. Who knows? But that that is all the time we have on the Viking Age podcast. Again, we do this every Monday and Thursday. We try not to be negative. I'm sorry if you feel like we're negative.
We're not negative.
I don't know.
We're
Send,
honest.
send us your
We're
comments.
on.
Send us
We're we're,
where do you
we're
think this team has
honest.
improved? We'll
We're
talk
not.
about
We're
it.
not negative.
Yeah,
We're honest. We're
sure.
honest.
So we do this 6:15 p.m. Central Time right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a live episode. And if you do, we got the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify the following day. Once again, I am Chris Schad for my co-host Adam Patrick. Thank you for listening to the Viking Age podcast.